I'm Alicia Vitarelli.
And I'm Christie Ileto. Tonight on FYI Philly.
Hello.
One of Center City's oldest buildings is celebrating a major milestone.
I love it.
We'll take you on a tour of the Masonic Temple.
Most people don't get to see this.
Up in the towers, down in the tunnels, and even between the walls.
We have a picture of Shaq.
We'll visit a lodge for Black Masons.
This is Gothic Hall.
And show you some of the famous folks who were members. Hello everyone and welcome to a very special FYI Philly.
That's right, we are inside the Masonic Temple on North Broad Street celebrating its 150th anniversary.
The iconic building is right across from City Hall, but it was built when this section of the city was mostly farmland.
Yeah, it's wild, and it's an architectural treasure that anyone can come in and explore.
Good morning and welcome to the temple.
Take one of the daily Masonic Temple tours.
The designs are Irish, Celtic, 8th century.
And you'll learn all about the architecture.
The stained glass windows were made in Philadelphia.
The ornate decor.
White marble came from Italy.
And the Masonic symbolism in each and every space.
These are the 3 lesser lights.
The Masonic Temple is the headquarters of the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania.
Construction here started in 1868.
And the idea was to make it as grand as it could be.
They wanted it to be considered the crown jewel of Masonry in America.
It's very unique, and in my opinion, of course, it's the most beautiful building in Freemasonry.
Construction wrapped in 1873, 150 years ago, but it would take decades to decorate.
That was just a shell. Everything was white plaster.
There are 7 halls where members gather and aspiring Masons take their journey.
There's about 25 different lodges and what we call appendant bodies or clubs that meet in this building.
This is Oriental Hall.
Oriental Hall is modeled after the Alhambra in Granada, Spain.
The Alhambra is actually a magnificent example of North African Islamic architecture.
It's an ode to the mathematicians that came from the Middle East.
Gothic Hall has a medieval theme.
Because it's home to our Knight Templars, a branch of Freemasonry.
The furniture in Gothic Hall is older than the temple itself. Oak, hand-carved in Philadelphia in 1855.
And they came from one of our previous buildings that burned down and they survived the fire.
This is Ionic Hall.
Named for the columns first used in the ancient Greek colonies of Ionia in 1200 BC. The ceiling represents the sky with the sun, zodiac, and planetary signs.
When people come through those doors, they're so fascinated with what they see. Spain, Egypt, Scotland, Ireland, Greece, Rome, it's all represented in the building.
Egyptian Hall was designed to represent the Nile Valley.
Egyptian Hall was the first room decorated.
It was also the first hall to receive electricity, and when it was dedicated on January 2nd, 1889, 12,000 visitors came out to marvel at the hieroglyphics, murals, and columns copied from the temples of ancient Egypt.
The room is very accurate down to the Egyptian writings that can be translated, and you have some of the great gods of ancient Egypt.
This is Norman Hall, so the decorations here are amazing. It comes from the Book of Kells.
If you look up at the ceiling, everything that looks like wood is actually painted plaster.
Renaissance Hall has soaring 50-foot-high ceilings with design elements copied from a variety of Italian structures.
High above you are Moses and King Solomon.
Corinthian Hall is the largest lodge room.
The room is dedicated to the culture of ancient Greece.
The ceilings here are 52 feet high. The Corinthian columns and the row of sculpted female figures mimic what you'll see at the Acropolis in Athens.
The murals are all scenes from Greek mythology.
The hall was designed to seat 400 brothers at the quarterly and annual meetings of the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania.
As of 2016, when we opened up the temple to outside events, that room has become very popular for weddings.
The Grand Banquet Hall, with its hand-laid mosaic floor, is a popular event venue too, with its larger-than-life-size bronze sculpture of Benjamin Franklin.
Weighs close to 3,000 pounds.
The stained glass windows commemorate 4 U.S. presidents who were Masons. The encased sculptures of faith, hope, and charity were carved by William Rush, considered the first major American sculptor.
Okay, this way, please.
The stairways and hallways have stories too.
Le Marquis de Lafayette.
With portraits of famous Freemasons and past Grand Masters lining the walls, stained glass windows, gilded oak carved lattice work, and an elaborate oak screen with a marble fountain.
It's amazing. The things that you see in this building you just can't see anywhere. The front doors are magnificent.
The temple is also home to the Masonic Library and Museum.
The building itself is a living museum. This art is timeless.
The Freemasons have launched a lighting project to highlight the architecture of the building's facade, extend the Avenue of the Arts to the north side of Broad Street, and celebrate the temple's 150th anniversary.
This is sort of flagship of Freemasonry in America.
But I shall let you in on a secret about our secrets.
By offering tours 5 times a day, 5 days a week, they hope visitors will come in, revel in its beauty, and explore.
That has been my goal and will continue to be my goal until I retire, to make it available to everybody, because there's just so much to share.
The Masonic Temple was named a National Historic Landmark in 1985.
Philadelphia's original Masonic Hall was also a beauty, built in 1813 by famed architect William Strickland.
That hall sadly burned down, and the Freemasons rebuilt on the very same site.
The Masonic Hall was known for hosting the very first Philadelphia Flower Show back in 1829.
And the Freemasons built another temple on Chestnut Street in 1855.
But the Masons quickly outgrew that space and built the temple we stand in now.
A death mask.
We'll dive into the archives when FYI Philly comes right back.
We'll check out some cool Mason memorabilia and learn what it means to be a member.
And you see how they jeweled them up? That's because they like to be fancy.
Before Pennsylvania Freemasons had a dedicated building, they met in local taverns. Their very first meeting was at Tun Tavern at 2nd and Spruce Streets, where Benjamin Franklin became a Mason in 1731. Tun Tavern would later become the birthplace of the U.S. Marine Corps before burning down in 1781.
Welcome back to FYI Philly as we celebrate the 150th anniversary of the Masonic Temple.
It opened at 1 North Broad Street in 1873 when construction of City Hall right across the street had just begun.
Freemasonry has been around since the 1500s in Europe, and many of America's founding fathers were also members.
Still, there's a lot of mysticism surrounding the Brotherhood.
That's right. What is it? Why do people join?
For the answers to those questions and more, we head to the basement where the Masonic Library and Museum archives are housed.
We have documents.
Lots of people adopted pandemic projects.
A death mask.
For Mike Laskowski, head archivist at the Masonic Temple,
These coins are Grand Master's medallions.
COVID offered a virtually uninterrupted time to catalog,
Minutes books, yeah.
organize,
Oh, Lewis Wagner Lodge.
and absolutely revel over the monumental mountain of Freemason memorabilia in his care.
I couldn't see myself doing anything but this. It is tedious, extremely time-consuming, and you have to have a perfectionist eye. I love it.
He took over the archives in March of 2020.
Greatest thing to happen in this archive in at least 50 years.
The archive, it seems, needed a lot of work.
It was not taken care of. These are World War I coins. You could tell that it wasn't taken care of for a long time. Now we come to the aprons. It kind of looked like Grandpa's attic.
The room is filled with Mason badges, medals, coins, minute books, and ledgers from each individual lodge in the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania.
A lot of the books are of lodges that no longer exist. Ooh, this is from the 20s. Their history is in the books. This is Conrad Day Lodge. He was from the 1800s. The idea of the preservation is so that they're never forgotten.
This is bigger than us. This is future generations.
The archive holds what's known as warrants.
The warrant is issued by the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania to each individual lodge when they are created.
Depending on the era in which they were issued, they're made of regular paper, parchment, or animal skin.
And this would be like his Master Mason's document. Nice decoration though, isn't it?
There's an assortment of hats,
This would have been a high priest hat.
a variety of fezzes.
And you see how they jeweled them up? That's because they like to be fancy.
Each commander gets his own ceremonial sword.
It has a decorative design on there. They are dull as a spoon.
There's a collection of highly individualized canes.
I love the wire wrapping that they did back then.
Now, you can't come down here on your first trip without seeing this.
And then there's that death mask.
This is the death mask of Thomas R. Patton,
He was the longtime Grand Treasurer of the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania.
and it actually was hung up on the wall in the family home. Let's show you the past master's jewel.
It's less gemstone, more showcase metal wrapped in a leather case.
So that he can take it with him anywhere and then open it up and put it on his lapel.
The fraternal organization claims 14 U.S. presidents as members.
The last president to be a Mason was Gerald Ford.
The temple has invitations for Presidents Teddy Roosevelt and William McKinley, and documents signed by Benjamin Franklin, the Marquis de Lafayette, and George Washington.
We have this statue of President Truman.
Harry Truman was a Grand Master of Missouri.
There were a lot of instances where he used his Masonic teachings during his presidency. His apron is special because it's a Grand Master's apron.
Every Freemason gets an apron as part of their uniform.
Beautiful, right?
We have George Washington's original apron.
It symbolizes the organization's connection to the stonemasons.
We came out of the intelligent class and the guilds joining together as one with the idea of free conversation and free thought.
They needed a place to come where they could trust their brothers. That's the bond of Freemasonry.
And it's the promise that, regardless of their rank in the greater world, all men would be created equal.
Franklin, or in recent times, Gerald Ford, if Gerald Ford were to attend a lodge, he would just be a member.
Because in the Masonic Lodge, he is the same as you are. It is also open to any and all races, any and all religions.
But faith of some sort is a requirement.
You need to believe in a higher power to be a Mason.
In every room, you'll notice these three lights situated in exactly this way. They represent the sun, the moon, and the worshipful master. These lights help us see the great light teachings of God.
There are 3 rules for lodge meetings.
You can't come under the influence of any alcohol or drugs. You don't speak about politics, and you don't speak about religion.
Because those topics bring arguments.
For a guest coming in, they can get away from all that.
For an aspiring Mason, membership takes place in 3 degrees.
The main idea of Masonry is to make good men better through knowledge, philanthropy, and charity.
Each step adds an additional lesson of character to strive for that perfection.
The building's exterior walls symbolize that journey.
One side is very rough. You can look at it and the stone's rough and jetting out at different places.
That represents an uninitiated Mason.
Another side is a little bit smoother. The third side even smoother.
By the time you get to the front,
this here is a beautiful, almost perfect grand entrance.
And there are benefits to belonging.
You can go anywhere in the world where Freemasons are and be accepted as their brother.
One thing that Masonry holds dear is the idea of camaraderie.
It's why soldiers fighting in the 2 world wars would carry their Mason documents onto the battlefield.
Because another group who was heavy into Masonry were the Germans. If they were captured by the Germans, they would not be mistreated because they were a fellow Mason.
It's a benefit today for families of students studying abroad.
It's having a friend everywhere you go, and it covers most of the globe. Folks often refer to it as a secret society, yet we have this huge building right in the middle of Center City.
Most people believe it's a church. The square and compass kind of gives it away that it's a Masonic building, but since most people do not really know what Masonry is, they wouldn't have a clue of what that really means.
It's funny because in the Masonic world, this is one of the places to be if you have a Masonic bucket list.
The square and compass are stonemason tools, of course, but in Freemasonry, it is a moral metaphor symbolizing the need to live a life that is honest, true, and dignified.
We have a birth certificate, so we can't be denied.
We'll head up North Broad Street to a brotherhood created by and for Black Freemasons when we return.
Shaquille O'Neal is a Mason.
The Benjamin Franklin Room on the first floor of the Masonic Temple was the last room to be decorated in 1908. The brass and glass entrance doors are an architectural wonder.
Each of them weigh 1 ton.
Yet are so marvelously balanced, they can be moved with 1 finger.
It's amazing.
Welcome back to FYI Philly and the Masonic Temple at 1 North Broad Street.
For 150 years, this building has been a place of fraternity and brotherhood for more than 85,000 Freemasons from across Pennsylvania.
That's a lot of people. The Freemason family has a number of related groups too. Shriners Hospital is one.
There's also Eastern Star for women and leadership groups for boys and girls.
And if you travel further up North Broad Street, you'll find Prince Hall, a branch of Freemasonry founded by and for Black Masons.
This is how we started.
African Lodge number 495 Prince Hall is named for its founder.
This is actually a picture of Prince Hall.
Prince Hall was a formerly enslaved Boston artist. In 1775, he and 14 other free black men became the first African-American Masons in America.
African Americans at that time were second-class citizens, more or less. They learned to take care of community, family, and so forth.
In 1784, Prince Hall petitioned the Grand Lodge of England for an official charter.
So we have a birth certificate, so we can't be denied.
Prince Hall branched out in 1797, opening lodges in Philadelphia and Rhode Island with the mission of lobbying for the rights of African-American children to get an education.
Masons are supposed to behave and love all mankind.
Philadelphia's Prince Hall Grand Lodge, originally an old city, has been located on North Broad Street near the Roosevelt Boulevard since 1975.
We just recently named Broad Street Prince Hall Way. These are the chivalric degrees.
The lodge's first floor museum is filled with 200 years of history.
These are our original minutes.
You'll find original copies of the anti-slavery newspaper, The Liberator.
This is 1845. This was a call to arms during the Civil War.
The walls are covered with a who's who of prominent Philadelphia African Americans.
Our first Grand Master was Absalom Jones.
The Reverend Absalom Jones and Bishop Richard Allen founded the Free African Society in Philadelphia in 1787.
A benevolent society, and did everything that Masons did. And this is Richard Allen. He was our first treasurer.
U.S. Ambassador and educator Ebenezer Bassett belonged to the lodge along with prominent abolitionist William Still.
We started churches, we were abolitionists, and we're still fighting civil rights to this day. And then here's our picture of all our famous Masons.
It has a little bit of everybody on there.
Including music legend Nat King Cole and NBA superstar Shaquille O'Neal.
So we have a picture of Shaq here.
It's right beside a picture of civil rights activist Cecil B. Moore and radio personality Georgie Woods.
And they both were in the same lodge. That's the Eastern Stars over here.
The Eastern Star is the branch of Freemasonry for women.
We always call them PHA, Prince Hall Adopted. And they do the same work as Masons. They actually are our wives, our sisters, our daughters, our widows, and our mothers.
The building used to be home to a girls' orphanage.
It was built by William Elkins, and he also was a Mason down at 1 North Broad Street across from City Hall.
Head up to the second floor of Prince Hall and you'll see walls lined with portraits of past Grand Masters.
We go all the way around for the 200-year stretch.
It's the oldest and largest predominantly African-American fraternity in America.
This is our lodge in South Africa.
With 5,000 lodges tracing their roots to Prince Hall more than 2 centuries ago.
We're here to serve the community, to bring in new people and make good men better, and we'd like people to come and visit us.
The museum on the first floor of Prince Hall is open to visitors upon request.
Hello.
We'll take you up to the roof and rafters, down into the tunnels, and even behind the walls.
This isn't something that a lot of people see.
We'll show you some secret magical compartments too.
All right, here we go.
That's when FYI Philly comes right back. Each of the ornately decorated halls in the Masonic Temple have a different theme, but each have one thing in common, an intentional design flaw. The reason?
All Masons know that only the grand architect can be perfect.
In Corinthian Hall, you'll find the flaw on the floral patterned rug. That was a gift from the Grand Lodge Puerto Rico back in 1976.
One particular square only has 3 leaves.
In the Egyptian room, look for the warrior missing a part of his implement.
In some of the other rooms, everything will be painted the same except for one spot.
Welcome back to FYI Philly and the Masonic Temple, celebrating 150 years right here on North Broad Street.
Yeah, the temple is open 5 days a week for public tours, but there are parts of the building that very few people get to see.
So Executive Director Mike McKee agreed to take us on just a little adventure.
Up to the roof and rafters, down into the tunnels, and even behind the walls to see even more of what makes this building so special.
Now you ready to take the journey?
We start by going way up
We're going to go to the highest point of the temple.
via a harrowing, cardio-challenging spiral staircase.
Oh my God.
That winds all the way up the temple's south tower.
It gives you a majestic view of the city. It's incredible.
Along the way, you'll see past Masons
We got Frank over here.
who've carved their names into the brick walls with a Masonic square and compass sign.
Hugh McKee and Sam Rutledge put this here in October 1955.
Back in the day, firemen had to make the climb morning and night to check the gas lines. At the top, you're up close to Billy Penn.
From here, you can tell he needs a shave.
With incredible views of Center City.
And we can see New Jersey
from the top of a building that was here before this section of Center City had even come to be.
It's a nice legacy to have.
The architect was named James Windrum.
He was just 27 years old when he won a competition to design the temple.
The building itself was made with 15,000 slabs of granite and over 14 million bricks.
Each slab of granite is marked and numbered.
So in theory, if we had to pick this building up and put it somewhere else, we could do that by following the Masonic tradition of marking our work.
The temple is a mix of architectural styles.
Tuscan, Doric, Ionic, Corinthian, and composite will be represented in this building, sometimes together. You won't see this anywhere else in one place.
There are 5 upper floors and 2 basement floors.
This here is the sort of secret lodge room.
Along with the 7 decorated lodge rooms, there's a colonial-style lodge at the base of the South Tower.
That nobody gets to use because there's only one way in and one way out. Here we go.
A trap door leads to tunnels underneath the building.
You can walk the perimeter of the building through the tunnels.
Contrary to urban legend, the tunnels do not connect to City Hall. There's a hidden door inside the central staircase.
There are some tight places.
That will take you under Gothic Hall and over Egyptian Hall.
This isn't something that a lot of people see.
And the place is filled with secret, mystical spaces.
You can pop out of anywhere in the building if you know the building. Sometimes when we have young visitors, I'll ask them to turn this wall into a door. Sometimes they'll say, please. Sometimes they'll say, abracadabra. I do this. And they are so fascinated that this wall just turned into a door. The adults light up as well. It just grabs the imagination.
It's not the only curiosity.
I ask them to use the magic words again to turn on the light, and they do, and boom.
There's another door within that hidden alcove.
That leads between the walls.
Once behind the wall, you climb up one ladder, and then another.
You said you wanted an adventure.
And then through a trap door. That's the journey to change a light bulb in the 50-foot-high arched ceiling of Renaissance Hall.
Hello.
The 5th floor of the temple is crawling with catwalks.
We're now above Corinthian Hall.
And ladders that seemingly go nowhere.
We've never taken them down because they're part of the character of the building.
Mike McKee has been executive director of the Masonic Library and Museum since 2018.
The lights above the grand staircase are right here.
But it wasn't until the pandemic that he started exploring all of the building's nooks.
We're going to climb up here.
Crannies.
I just think that's so cool.
And unusual features.
Once again, things that look like walls are actually doors. How I Spent COVID by Mike McKee. Crawling in walls and getting dirty. The building itself is so fascinating. It's sort of an adventure, just being able to put together the pieces of history and make sure that the next generation gets to enjoy them. That's really magical.
Super cool. And again, the temple is open for public tours 5 times a day, Tuesday through Saturday.
There's also a gift shop if you want to stock up on some Mason memorabilia.
You know, it really is a hidden in plain sight gem right in the center of the city.
That's right, full of history, amazing art, stunning architecture.
You have to come check it out. Have a great week, everyone.
And happy holidays.